force. Now, as we take a look at the latest radar imagery from Dorian, one of the changes that we've seen since earlier in the day is a bit of an intensification. Not a lot, but a little bit. Winds went from 105 to 110 miles per hour. The inner core looking a little bit better defined. You see that eye starting to come together again as it moves mainly to the north. But notice most of the real heavy rain, these heavy rain bands are just offshore, just barely scraping the coast. And that's why the exact forecast path is really so important, because only a little bit of a shift to the west and this heavy band of rain starts to make its way onshore. A little bit of a shift to the east and most of the heavy rain winds up staying offshore. So this,
how strong those winds are.
I mean, he's got his full weight just leaning against the wind. If the wind suddenly stopped, he would just fall over.
Wow.
I mean, that's how strong those winds are. Now, the Florida Keys got hit by Irma this morning. Irma was a Category 4 hurricane at the time. Winds of up to 130 miles per hour.
Unimaginable.
And we haven't really seen a whole lot of information come back from the Keys yet. A lot of the communications went down across the Keys. Probably going to see some very sad scenes come out of the Keys and parts of southwest Florida. And it's still impacting a large portion of the state. Look how big this hurricane is. It's affecting almost an entire Florida peninsula. Very strong winds across much of Florida, and it's not done yet. We're talking about a large area of winds expanding into Georgia and parts of the southeast as we go into tonight and tomorrow morning. Now, even though Irma is going to get closer to us, it's not going to have a big impact, because after it starts to move far inland, what's left of it is going to weaken very, very fast. Here's a look at Irma. This is from the latest Hurricane Center advisory. Notice the position of it right in the middle, starting to move out tonight. And by the time you get up tomorrow morning, don't have to worry about the rain. You can get off to work or send the kids off to school without umbrellas and not have to worry about the rain moving back in. Harvey has just been such a prolific, devastating rainmaker. This is the rainfall estimate. I put the track here to show you how the storm has moved and where the heaviest rainfall related to the track.
New Orleans community of Lakeview, and it's where I lived during Katrina. At one time, almost this entire neighborhood 8 to 12 feet underwater and 0% inhabitable. Today, Lakeview is 75% recovered.
Be a concern for mainly southern Lono County over the next half an hour or so. Right now we're coming up at 10:30 a.m. If you're just joining us, we do have a tornado warning primarily now for southern Lono County until 11 a.m. We have a radar indicated tornado, a fairly well-defined signature on radar crossing over US 165 right between Scott and Keogh, crossing over Toltec near Toltec Road. So if you're in that area, you should be taking your tornado precautions right now.
All that much is all. So as we take a look at some of the strongest storms now moving across the state, some strong storms now moving through Benton as well as Bryan, some very heavy rain about to move into the Ferndale area, getting into western Pulaski County. Watch out around West Little Rock over the next 10 to 15 minutes, and about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, these storms will be into the downtown Little Rock area. Lots of lightning associated with this. Very, very intense lightning. Combination of a lot of lightning as well as some strong winds means the potential for power outages. So if you have some flashlights, make sure that they're working. Make sure your cell phones are charged, because there is a possibility that you could lose power as these storms move through the Little Rock metro area within the next hour or so. That severe thunderstorm warning does include most of the Little Rock metro area, including southern Faulkner County, Pulaski County, most of Saline County, into Lono County as well, and parts of Grant County too. Here's the approximate timing of this. Notice into the downtown Little Rock area about 9:17. So they'll put you in West Little Rock likely within the next 10 minutes or so. Sherwood at 9:24, Jacksonville at 9:34, and Cabot at 9:45. Shifting southward, we have some strong storms that just moved through the Camden area, now moving through south central Arkansas. Severe thunderstorm warning now for Bradley, Calhoun, Cleveland, and Ouachita counties until 9:45. Likely some strong gusty winds.
Stay dry. Now, as we take a look at Irma, here's Irma now approaching the northeast Caribbean. Winds still 185 miles per hour, headed towards the west. Here's the eye wall. Look at this eye. Very, very well defined. And right around that eye is the eye wall. And that's where you have winds up to 185 miles per hour. This ties for the second strongest hurricane on record in the Atlantic Basin. when it comes to strength of winds. The all-time strongest was Hurricane Allen back in 1980. That had winds of 190 miles per hour, and well, that's pretty close. Unfortunately, the track of this is going to take it right towards the Caribbean islands, likely towards the Virgin Islands, dangerously close to Puerto Rico, and then towards the Bahamas, Cuba, and eventually Florida. Although as we get towards the weekend, of course, a few days out, the forecast track becomes a lot more uncertain, but certainly Florida is going to be threatened as we go towards the weekend, as well as the eastern portion of the Gulf and also the southeast coast, the Atlantic coast of Florida.
Not much happening here at home, but in terms of the weather, a lot happening down in Texas, that's for sure.
A big hurricane moving into the southeast Texas coast. This is the strongest hurricane to hit the United States since Wilma in 2005. Yeah. This is going to be a big problem for Texas. Not only the initial hit of the hurricane itself, winds of 130 miles per hour, but major flooding over the next few days as the storm stalls to our southwest over Texas. Here's a look at the satellite and radar, and there's the hurricane just coming ashore now into southeast Texas, east of Corpus Christi, very close to Rockport. We'll zoom in a little bit, give you a better perspective. It's not hitting Houston or the Galveston area directly, although some of the outer bands have already started affecting those areas. Across parts of southeast Texas, we have the hurricane now coming in east of Corpus Christi, just about crossing the barrier islands towards Rockport right now. You see this yellow area. That's actually part of the eye wall where we have the strongest winds, potentially up to 130 miles per hour, according to the latest National Hurricane Center advisory. And right now it's coming ashore. The eye, with a clear area, the center, it's calm right in the center. The center itself hasn't quite moved across land, but it will over the next few hours. It's also beginning to really slow down. The expected slowing of this storm is occurring right now. When I talk about slowing, I mean the forward motion, how fast it's moving, not how fast the winds are going. The wind's still up at 130 miles per hour, mainly over water, but some of those winds getting over land right now. You can see that eye wall near Rockport over towards Aransas Pass and Port Aransas, getting some of the...
Or at least scrape your windshield clear. I mean, I saw a couple people that were driving, they just put like small holes in their windshield, just peeking through it. I know.
Now that's dangerous. That's so incredibly dangerous.
And theoretically, you could get pulled over for it.
Okay, and then there's that.
Which, you know, me being on my soapbox here, I'm going to use the desk as my soapbox.
And let me just say, when you get on your soapbox, we just listen.
All right, so clean off your cars and then get on the road.
Okay.
The person behind you will appreciate it. And that person might be Kevin, trying to avoid the giant sheet of ice flying off the car. You know, tonight we had another round of sleet and freezing rain moving through the area. I mean, nothing major, but actually for a few minutes there, I mean, it was coming down. It was starting to accumulate on the sidewalks and the roads, but as soon as it did, pretty much came to an end. Now, as we take a look at what we can next values, 105 to as high as 115, especially in the purple shaded area, which indicates an excessive heat warning that is in effect. That's when you start getting these heat index values, not just near 105, but once they start getting up to 110, 115, the heat really can become dangerous if you're overexerting yourself out there. You really need to just take those precautions a little bit more seriously. Drink plenty of water if you're going to be outside for any length of time, and make sure to just try to stay out of the sun as much as you can, especially during peak heating, because it really is very easy to get heat exhaustion or even heat stroke if you exert yourself too much. Now, as we take a look at tomorrow, excessive heat warning continues for central and southern Arkansas. Not quite as hot tomorrow across northern Arkansas. The reason why, a weak cold front that's going to come on through, and that's going to cool things off a little bit. Now, when I say cool things off, this isn't going to be like the front that came through in July and it was temperatures were in the 80s and low humidity. It's just going to make it more average August-like. Heat index again up into the danger category, almost in the extreme category in cases for tomorrow. And then we drop back down out of the danger zone for Wednesday going into Thursday with those heat index values more in the mid-90s.